Hey guys, Tiffany Szakal here. I want to talk to you a little bit about, negotiating. Now, one of the things in real estate transactions, there are different points in the transaction when negotiating is necessary. So, first negotiation point is the purchase agreement, when you get under contract. Secondly is the inspections. So, something is found that wasn't seen in the initial walkthrough, and so you negotiate that, and then also at the time of appraisal. So let's talk about these different steps. The first one, especially in a seller's market, if you're representing the buyer, are not in a position of power. You do not have the tangible product that's being sold on the marketplace, and like I said, especially in a seller's market, you may be competing against multiple offers. So how do you make that negotiation point in there to get the best advantage for your client? Well, you have 3 sales that need to be made during that time. The first sale is selling the client that they want to buy the house. Now, you're not going to manipulate them, right? Because you don't want to deal with buyer's remorse or getting sued or any of these things. However, you need to sell the house to the client. The second sale you make is to the listing agent as the buyer's agent. So I would highly encourage you to call the listing agent and say, okay, listing agent, in addition to price, what is the seller looking for in an attractive offer? And right there, you're going to try to get to the heart of the motivation of the seller. Is it that they're getting divorced and they need more time to find another place? Is it that they're just looking for price and that's it? Is it that they want to keep the washer and dryer and they don't at all want to part with it? Like, what is the motivation there? So just by you calling and asking that, you're already setting yourself up for success with them. And then the third sale is to the seller. So for your client, to the seller. So some of the things that people do are buyer letters. Those a lot of listing agents are eliminating because they don't want to open their sellers up to fair housing complaints. It's understandable. So if a buyer letter is still allowed in that circumstance, I would absolutely encourage your buyers to write a letter. Also, an offer cover letter. So I have a couple of examples of an offer cover letter on my resource page. If you go to keyworld.tv under resources and then Grand Rapids resources, I have a link of a whole bunch of resources that I have put together for our agents, and in there is an example of an offer cover letter, and I have had extreme success with this. When you pair that with a buyer letter and then an offer and then a pre-approval letter, you are making that sale. So those are the things that are involved with negotiations. You are not in the position of power in that negotiation. However, you can help your client navigate through by talking about those different points, right? The other thing with buyers, a lot of them, sorry buyers, if you're a buyer and you're watching this video trying to learn about negotiations for your for sale by owner sale, whatever it is, your real estate agent can help you with that if you're watching this. However, in addition to that, a lot of them make the mistake and they need to lose a sale before they get serious about making an offer, especially in a seller's market, because what the purchase price is not always the list price, right? Sometimes it's 105% of the list price. Sometimes it's 90% of the list price. It just depends on that market. So you'll want to see what the list price versus sales price ratio is for that specific neighborhood so you know how to make an intelligent offer. Okay, so that's that first part. Now, inspections. Inspections is not a time to be nitpicky. Inspections is a time to reveal what was not seen during the initial walkthrough. This isn't to say, I don't like the curtains, you need to give me $5,000 in seller paid closing costs. It's just not, guys. It's just not. And anytime you submit something in writing for them to review, you're opening up the contract and they have a couple of different options. They can say no, even you as buyers, a couple of different options. You can say, no, we're walking away, and especially if you put it in writing that you're opening up the contract and the seller can walk away. They can say, we'll repair that. They can say, we'll reduce the price or give you closing costs, or they can just flat out say no and move forward. Like, those are all the things that they have as buyers as well. So what you want to do if you're representing the buyer or if you're representing the seller, get the information together. Get whatever the circumstances, get the information together. And then before going to the other side, or if you're on the listing side, just take in all the information and say, I need to process this with my sellers, we'll get back to you. It's fine. It's okay to take a pause. Write out what your client's expected outcome is so that in your mind, when you're in the thick of the conversation with the other side, you can remind yourself what the ultimate goal is. Is the ultimate goal to get them to replace something or repair something or give you this money or you're walking away? Or is the ultimate goal, we still want to move to the closing, however, we really would like this or we really need this in order to get there? Just write out whatever the outcome is and then tell the information to the other side, tell them the expected outcome, remind them of your joint position to move forward to closing, or say, I'm not trying to strong arm you, legitimately, this is what they said they want, or they're going to walk away. And then let it hang out there as a pregnant pause. Because let me tell you, the power of silence is incredible. And us as Americans, us as people, we just want to fill in that silence with words, and then what happens is we talk past the close. Allow there to be a pause just for thought process, for you to take a breath, to regain yourself, to center yourself back to where you need to be, because almost always the other side wants to talk up in there. Don't react if they get emotional. Don't react if they start poking you. Don't react if they start being aggressive or mean. You have your expected outcome, you have what they're looking for, and you have allowed them to have all of the information to make their decision. Now the ball is in their court. It is absolutely allowed to be silent. You will do your client a disservice if you try to bully back or push past the close. You're no longer in control of that situation. So allow there to be a pause. It is totally okay. Okay. Third time negotiation happens is the appraisal. Now, what's happening again in a lot of sellers markets is that people are putting in offers significantly above the list price and then they don't appraise. So there's this appraisal gap, right? There's what the purchase price is and then the appraisal came in down here. So again, there's a couple of different options. You go, if you're representing the buyer side, to the seller side, and you say, okay, we put in the offer here. I hurt my finger, you guys. We put in the offer here. The appraisal came in here. This happens sometimes. This is what we'd like to do. Either there's cash that the buyer can come up with to bridge the appraisal gap. Maybe you even wrote it in your purchase agreement that they were going to bridge the appraisal gap. Do you need to come down in price? Do you need to eliminate some of the closing costs in order to get down to where the appraisal price is? Or is everybody just walking away, right? Again, same thing for the inspections. You're going to write out what the issue is. You're going to write out what the expected outcome is, and then you're going to tell the other side, and you're going to allow them to process this information. It may be that the listing agent has a list of comps and there is an actual reason why this appraised or should have appraised at where the list price and purchase price is. That's totally okay. You will then go back to the lender and ask them to contest the appraisal. I've had this happen twice, and both times there were different outcomes. So if that's the case, you can go back there. Frank Dodd is not allowing so many of those. So because there's supposed to be a distance, arm's distance between the lender and the appraisal, which is why there's so many appraisal management companies now. Instead of the lender just ordering directly from the appraisal company, they go through a service that then randomizes who's going to do the appraisal, which is why you get them all over the board now, because there's not consistency with people that consistently know the market. And also, the lender very often cannot talk directly to the appraiser to contest it. So then they have to go back through this service company, and if they contest too many of them, then they're going to get investigated for fraud, manipulation, all sorts of things. And so even sometimes lenders are like, I'm not interested in contesting. So you have to have a strong case for doing that. Again, you get the information, you write out the expected outcome, you write out where their threshold is for that, and then you move forward. And it may be that everybody chooses to go their own way, but you let your client know at all of these different points what the outcomes could be, and then help them make an informed decision about how to move forward. Here's the other thing. You cannot tell your client how to move forward. You can give them information on the different paths, and you can remind them of their motivation. However, do not tell them how to move forward, because if you do and it turns out wrong, they're going to resent you. It's just what it is. So help them make an informed decision forward. Your job is not to make all the decisions in the real estate transaction. Your job is to help them navigate their real estate transaction as seamlessly as possible. And these are 3 points when negotiation happens, so they need to know what the expectations are for all of them, and you need to maintain your cool through all of them. I hope that helps. That's just a quick overview of a much deeper conversation on negotiation, which we go through during our training process, which we talk about in our real estate sales training groups on Facebook. So if you want more information on those, check out joinkeygr.com for more on our training and negotiations. I will talk to you guys soon.